Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
It is a crucial week for the New York Jets after they finished their first of 3 preseason games on Saturday. This week, a joint practice against the Panthers and a game Saturday night in Carolina. A lot to talk about. The latest on Hassan Reddick and more. It's the Jake Asman Show, so let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season.
We're here with Charles Gorman. Charles, you're about to get into your Uber, which I called for you specifically to leave Don Jose Mexican restaurant. Give us the breakdown on the night. Did you have fun?
I had a good time, Paul. I'm sorry I couldn't stay for long. My parents wanted me to be home at a certain time. I know I'm a grown-ass man, but their house, their rules. People were very nice. The food is good. Anyways, have a good day and stay healthy and God bless.
Charles, thank you for the time.
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he goes. Charles Gorman, everybody. One of one. A legend of our time. Go Jets.
We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go, Jet fans. Before we talk Jets and before I bring on today's excellent guest, Michael Nania of JetsXFactor.com, big announcement. Just found out about 10 minutes ago, so this will be a short show. I'm doing an emergency fill-in shift from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN New York this afternoon. I'm filling in for Bart and Hahn. Bart and Hahn are filling in for the Michael K. Show, so there's a spot that opened, and I'm taking it from noon to 3. So short show today, but if you want more Jake Asman, more Jake talking about the New York Yankees, talking about that Met debacle over the weekend, and certainly the Jets and the Giants, ESPN New York is the place to be. Download the ESPN New York app or listen on either 98.7 or get in the habit of listening on 10:50 a.m. because we're making the full-time changeover at the end of the month. So that's how you can hear me from noon to 3 later today. Joining me right now is one of our favorite guests. We have his co-founder on the site all the time, so it was about time we bring this guy on to talk all things Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Nania from JetsXFactor.com joins the show. What's up, Mike?
I'm doing good. Also, first of all, congrats to you, Jake. I mean, landing that ESPN New York gig. I'm looking forward to hearing that. I'm sure a lot of people are too.
Appreciate that, my man. And it's it's certainly a lot of topics to hit on that show that we're going to do right now when it comes to the Jets. I just want to get, kind of your big picture thoughts. We'll get to some of the specifics from the game, and then I want to get into why I believe this is probably the most important week of training camp, in my opinion. But before we do any of that, Michael, when you look at where this team is at right now, first preseason game in the books, no Hassan Reddick, but Mike Williams off the PUP list. Your thoughts on just the state of the Jets overall?
Yeah, I think it's a really positive position. And I know the Hassan Reddick story is going to continue to draw most of the headlines until it's resolved. But that's just natural because you look at the state of the team right now, and that's really all there is to be concerned about. I mean, even the Joe Tippmann snapping storyline, that kind of, in the preseason game, I feel like he quelled that. There were a couple that were a little bit off, but for the most part, I thought he did a good job with his snaps in that game. So even that, which in itself was already kind of reaching to find something to be concerned about, has kind of, surfaced a little bit or gone beneath the surface in this preseason game. So yeah, you don't want to come out of a preseason game overreacting to too much, but there were a lot of good positives. The rookie class showed flashes. I feel like every rookie who played, you saw glimpses of why the Jets drafted them, what their vision is for both the short and long term for those players. And you come out healthy, you come out with the win. Not that the final score of a preseason game matters, but it really is just good vibes right now. And especially with Mike Williams and his early return from PUP, that was one of your biggest questions going into this season. That's kind of resolving itself already. It's looking very optimistic that he's going to at least suit up for the season opener. We'll see how long it takes him to be himself, but at least it seems like very likely he's going to play that game. So it's hard not to be optimistic. And it's very rare to sit here on August 12th with as few questions as you have about this team right now. So I think Jets fans should really enjoy this and bask in it right now, because whatever is going to happen in the season is going to happen once it comes. But at this time right now, it's a comfortable moment. And I think Jets fans should enjoy that.
Yeah, certainly want to get into the preseason game, a Jet win. And you mentioned it, the rookies playing really well. But let's get to the Reddick stuff, because that to me, with the first preseason game now in the books, now it's like, all right, now it's a real story, in my opinion, as far as could he actually not be ready for the start of the year. This is the 21st day of Haason Reddick's holdout. We know the Jets are on the practice field this morning, 3 days of practice before they head to Charlotte for a joint practice with the Panthers. Where are you at with Haason Reddick? How do you see it playing out? What are your thoughts on how we got to where we're at this point?
Yeah, I do think ultimately this will be resolved before the season, just because I feel like the Jets have the leverage here, and the Jets need Haason Reddick for sure. If they don't have him, it's a major hit to their defensive line, and they do have the reinforcements to be solid without him. They're not desperate for him, but it would be a hit. With that being said, Reddick needs to play and needs the Jets more than they need him, because if he doesn't play, they do have 2 first-round pick edge rushers from the past couple drafts who they feel comfortable with. They have a star defensive tackle, good depth across the defensive line, which also showed up in this preseason game. So they're good enough without him. It would be a loss for sure, but they can survive. But Haason Reddick, if he wants the contract that he's apparently looking for, he has to play this season. He's going into his age 30 season as a speed rusher, which, I think his style of play further adds to your concern about, should we sign this guy long-term before we see what he has this year at age 30? Will his athletic tools fall off quickly? And when that happens, can he still be effective? So considering that, I think he really needs to play if he wants the deal that he's going to get. You consider that, the Jets did get a chance to talk to him before they traded for him. So that tells you that other teams probably had the opportunity to do the same thing. So if there was a team out there that saw him as worth what he thinks he's worth, he probably would have gotten that from some other team. But he lands with the Jets team that seemingly wants to, do this on a 1-year trial basis. So his value is not around the league, is not where he thinks it is. So if he wants it to be at that point, he has to play this year. And sitting out games is not going, in addition to the money that he's losing right now, is not going to help him improve his stock to the point where it needs to be if he wants the contract he believes he's worth. So I think he's going to show up at some point before the season. I'm mildly surprised that he's taken this long and has been willing to eat as much money as he has to prove this point, because I just don't see the Jets caving in to what he's looking for. I think the Jets are more than willing to up the guarantees for this year, because he has no guaranteed money this season, which, it makes sense maybe why he doesn't want to practice, considering if he gets injured tomorrow, it's all off the books. So that's understandable, but it seems like the Jets are willing to give him those guarantees, maybe up the incentives. So if he has a great year, his, base salary for this year can increase closer to what he thinks he's worth. So I think the Jets are willing to do those things and ultimately will come to that agreement. But it is a little surprising and increasingly concerning that Reddick has taken it this long. Ultimately, though, I do think that he is going to cave in before the season opener, but we'll see.
Agreed. And look, if he misses a game, it's not the end of the world, but that'd be such a silly thing to maybe prevent you from pulling off a big upset on opening night. Like, I think they could beat Tennessee week 2 without Haason Reddick. They could beat New England without Reddick. They could beat, the Broncos and the Vikings without Reddick. But if you want to be one of the best teams in the league, which the Jets, I think, talent-wise, have the team to do it, Reddick's a big part of this, man. And he's a guy that is a game wrecker who could close out games, force turnovers. He'd be a beast in this defense.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't want to diminish the impact of not having him, because, you lost Bryce Huff, and that's a major, major loss. He's one of the most efficient pass rushers in the league for you. And you replace him with Haason Reddick, a guy who's even more proven and even better of a sack artist and a finisher, big time playmaker for you. at the end of these close games that you're going to be playing a lot more of now that you have a competent offense and defending more leads. So is going to be a big time fit in this defense. I think the way that they play is perfect for him because he's played a lot of coverage reps as a former linebacker, dropping back off the line. He's not going to do any of that here. He's going to get a chance to just pin his ears back and use that special speed that he has. He'll also play fewer snaps. He used to play a lot of snaps in Philly, but he'll be better rested with the Jets, have more juice to provide on each play. So I think he'll have an awesome year once he shows up. And if every game you don't have him, it's definitely a loss. With that being said, I just think he doesn't have – the Jets aren't desperate enough for him with their overall defensive talent and specifically their edge talent to where I think they're ever going to be like, man, we have to give him this long-term contract he's looking for that we never wanted to sign, but now we're desperate for it, especially with the, like you mentioned, early season schedule. San Francisco, you'd miss him, but they could easily start 4-1 without him. So I don't think it'll get to the point where they're just going to cave in. So it's a game of hardball at this point, and given the leverage on both sides, I think Reddick is going to end up being more desperate to cave in than the Jets are.
If you're one of the 215 people watching live right now, please hit that like button. There's only 65 likes. Let's get the likes up. It helps the channel grow. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether you're watching live or after the fact, trying to get the 40,000 subs by week 1 of the Jet season, that Niner game that Michael just mentioned, trying to get the 40K. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, you guys know Jets X Factor. We talk about them constantly on the show. Michael and his team do an amazing job covering the Jets. Check out jetsxfactor.com daily for your coverage of our favorite team. Also, let's make sure we say this all week long. Saturday night, I will see you all at T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan, baby. Party starts at 6:30. It's a free event, but you have to RSVP in advance so we get a head count. Come join us. Jet game on every TV. Giveaways, including a Garrett Wilson signed football, ESPN swag, Asmaniac swag will be distributed. There'll be drink specials. We'll have food. The golf simulators will be there. There's a mini basketball hoop. There's a bowling alley, darts, pool table. There's something for everyone. It's going to be a blast. Come out and hang and watch the Jets and the Panthers game all together. It's our first ever Asmaniac watch party live from T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan this Saturday night. Party starts at 6:30. All right, comments, questions, super chats for Michael Nania. It's a short show if you're tuning in late because 10 minutes ago I found out I'm doing the midday show on ESPN New York today from 12 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you submit your questions if you want Michael to answer them. Shout out to Jesus Jerry for making it rain. How about a 5-spot of channel memberships to get us going on this fine Monday morning?
Money, 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 money.
All right, here we go. 5 names to read off. John Lisicki, Luis Quintero, David A., Jaden D'Angelo, and Stephen Craig. Also, I got to give love to someone who signed up to become a channel member in Asmaniac the old-fashioned way. Robert Heron just became a channel member. Boom! Thank you so much, Robert, for supporting the show. We're looking for more channel members. So this week, if we get another 29 channel members, the Aaron Rodgers Scorched Earth Tour emoji will go into effect for all the Asmaniacs out there to use in the chat or the comment section. Michael, I want to turn our focus to the game on Saturday. I thought when it comes to the rookie class, and you alluded to it, it was about as good of a debut in a preseason game as you could have. I thought Olu was outstanding. I know you did some film work on Jet X breaking down his performance. How could you not be in love with what you saw from Braylon Allen? But even a guy like Quantez Stiggers stood out. Isaiah Davis stood out. And then you get to some of the second-year players, like a guy like JBC, who is making plays all over the field. So I just want to hand it over to you. Give us some takeaways on the young players in that preseason game from Saturday.
Yeah, it was promising in a lot of ways. And to start with the rookie class, I feel like, as I mentioned earlier, I think the best way to look at it is you saw the potential with each player, both as individuals and where their fit could be for this team as soon as this season. Because, obviously I think there's a lot of long-term outlook with this draft class, whether it's Olu, whether it's Corley, guys whose, biggest role will come beyond this season, but they all are going to have roles this year as well. And I think this preseason game showed you what they could provide this year. And with Braylon Allen, I mean, anyone who watched it spoke for itself. Just the power that he has at the finishing point of his runs. You make contact with him and he's going down 5-6 yards past that. And as a compliment to Breece Hall, that's such a good thing to have, because I think you prefer that over like a home run hitting speed guy as your second back, because you're not going to get a lot of carries. So you want someone who's just going to be efficient and continue to wear down the defense in the way that Breece Hall does when you get those minimal opportunities as the RB2. And Braylon Allen's going to do that. He's going to come in fresh, and he's going to bowl people over, keep the offense on schedule with those consistent chunk gains. And it's very easy to see him having a solid year in that role. And even if there's short yardage goal line, you want to save Breece Hall some hits. Fantasy players might not like that, but at the goal line, maybe Braylon Allen gets involved a little bit in that capacity. It's just hard to see him not being effective with the frame that he has and the way that he uses it, getting so low and packing such a punch. Then Isaiah Davis in the receiving game, making an impact, caught all of his targets, got a ton of yak over what you would expect him to get, breaking tackles, just showing elusiveness with the ball in his hands. He had a good kick return as well. And then your first round pick, Olu Fashanu. I mean, this is a guy who you're probably expecting to start a few games this year, protecting Aaron Rodgers' blindside, and his pass protection was pristine in this game. I mean, in the run game, there were some shaky reps. I think there's some work he could do there. He certainly has potential with his athleticism, but in the passing game, just the footwork, the hand placement, his overall movement skills and athleticism, fluidity, it was all there. And you saw flashes of Tyron Smith, and Tyron Smith has that fake punch move that he's so successful with, just kind of flashing that hand to get the rusher to throw his hands. You get him off balance, and then you take advantage of that. It's something Tyron's really successful with. And Olu showed that off in this game. And that's not to say Olu never used that before, but it seems likely that Tyron has kind of helped him perfect that technique. So Olu looked really solid. And then Malachi Corley getting involved in the offense. We saw design touches for him. The wherewithal to pick up that dropped pass by Kuntz. Amazing hands. And then the angry running we saw after that. The top rookies of the class, very promising start for them. Then you mentioned Stiggers and JBC. I think specifically Jarek Bernard-Converse. I thought he was the Jets' best player in this game. And you start off with that deep catch, but that was great coverage. And then from then on out, he was just answering the bell every single time, whether it was a tackle underneath, whether it was a deep pass, a short pass, a comeback route along the sideline. He was always right there. He's got great length. His recognition was good in this game, his technique. So just another testament to this defensive coaching staff and how they've developed some of the young talent that they have. So, if you're a Jets fan, you have to be very enthusiastic about the way that your young prospects played in this game.
No question about it. And honestly, I don't know if either one is going to make the roster. They're probably practice squad guys. But, I mean, Andrew Peasley and Adrian Martinez, Michael, they made some plays, man. I mean, the fact that we were sitting there last year watching Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle, I think both those guys are just as good, if not better, than anything we saw at the quarterback spot. And I get it, it's preseason, but some of those throws were as good as you could make under the circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and we'll see what Jordan Travis's health is like. Is he going to just redshirt the season? Do we keep one of those other guys as the third quarterback? I think there's still an opportunity for that. So I think that door is still open for one of them to have a roster spot, be that emergency quarterback. And yeah, I think you saw legit NFL throws in this game from both of them. I think there's sometimes quarterbacks will play in these preseason games and make noise. They'll have highlights. They'll win the game, but it's not legitimate stuff. I think Chris Streveler is an example of this. Like, he's exciting and fun, but it's kind of just scrambling against vanilla defenses, not really doing anything that translates. But I mean, Peasley's back pylon throw to Brownlee was just, chef's kiss. That was beautiful. And then, Adrian Martinez comes in at the end and makes plays that I know Caleb Williams had that viral throw. Martinez did pretty much the same thing, rolling out and throwing into tight double coverage down the field. So both of them made legitimate throws and looked like, there's a certain bar for your QB3. You don't expect too much out of that role, but I think both of those guys look like potentially decent QB3s, and they got to keep it going for the next 2 games throughout training camp practices, because it hasn't seemed like they've been, too impressive in training camp. So they got to keep it going. They got to build on it, but it was nice to see some legitimate throws from them in this game.
We're talking with Michael Nania, JetsXFactor.com, co-founder. Him and Robbie Sabo provide you guys with a resource that every Jet fan needs to be checking out each and every day. Super chats will cut the line on the show. We're always seeking more channel members. Couple super chats in here. Eric writes in, people tell me that Michael Nania and V-Man look alike. Have you heard the V-Man comp before, Michael?
I may have the last time I was on here, but I would have to be refamiliarized with that one.
Well, V-Man, if you're out there, you cut the line if you want to call in, and we'll do an Unnatural Siblings here on the Jake Asman Show. Honey Dukes has been an Asmaniac for 2 months. He writes, I work for PSA, and everyone is scrambling to get their Brees and Garrett cards graded. The boys are in for a big year. Look, if they stay healthy, Michael, we're talking about two of the better offensive seasons in Jet history. Each one is capable of putting up, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, in terms of running back, I don't think they've had a player who has the two-way capabilities that Brees has. Like, obviously you had LT, but he was at the end of his career at that point. And, Curtis Martin's a legend, but he didn't catch the ball the way that Brees Hall can do it. So you haven't seen a two-way guy who can get 2,000 scrimmage yards in the way that Brees Hall could potentially do this year. And then Garrett Wilson, I think he could have that Brandon Marshall 2015 season. I think the touchdowns is the biggest question. We know Garrett's going to get a ton of targets, and he's going to get more out of them this year because throws are going to be more accurate. He's going to get targeted when he's open, but only has not scored a lot of touchdowns in his career so far. But hard to do that when you're very rarely in the red zone, and when you are there, the quarterback can't throw with touch, can't throw a good fade ball. You got to reach across your body with one hand just to get a jump ball fade. So we'll see with the touchdowns. I'm feeling more like 8-9, but I don't want to rule out 13-14 season. I think he's capable of that. So we'll see with the touchdowns, but I think 1,500 yards is easily within reach for him.
Yeah, like I don't think it's crazy, man. And it's weird because we're not used to like Jets going as high as they're about to go in fantasy football, but it's just a fact. And, going back to last week, Michael, I was at the joint practice against the Commies in the rain. It says something like Garrett Wilson had his best practice of the summer in a monsoon with Tyrod throwing him the ball. It just shows you how bad the Jet quarterback play has been because Garrett's capable of doing that if you just get him the ball. And no one really outside of like Flacco for a couple games and Mike White before his injuries figured out, hey, this number 5 guy, or previously number 17, he's pretty good. Let's just throw the ball up to him and let him make plays.
Oh, yeah, and that's why it's hard to put a cap on a ceiling because anyone who's watched in the past 2 years, the separation is just so consistent at all 3 levels, whether you're talking about deep balls. Like, think about that ball against the Vikings in 2022 when Mike White was that quarterback. Like, it was probably like a 70-yard touchdown that could have tied the game, and Mike White overthrew it. So passes like we haven't seen his deep game really unlocked because the Jets haven't had good deep touch at quarterback. So he can run any route in the book and do it consistently. So it's hard to put a cap on his ceiling in terms of what he could do this year. So between him and Brees, it could be the best receiver running back duo the Jets have ever had. Obviously, those are big words for a franchise that has been around for nearly 70 years, but go find one that's better than what the Jets or what Brees and Garrett could do this year. So I'm very excited to see what they do.
No question about it. No question about that. It's exciting. I mean, look, they got to stay healthy. We all understand that, but you could say that about every team. We're just so scarred as Jet fans after last year, where it's just like, you want to temper the expectations, but at the same time, this is such a really, it's such a good roster that you want to be excited because you got to enjoy it now, as you said. And assuming they get the Reddick thing figured out, Michael, as we sit here right now, what's your temperature on the record in the regular season? What are you expecting?
I think if you're the Jets, you have to hold yourself to a high standard and expect an AFC East title at the very least. Once the playoffs come, like playoffs are the playoffs. It's one game. You never know what's going to happen, but look at the regular season. I know this is a talented division. You got 2 very strong teams to compete against, but with the way this roster is constructed, with the salaries that you've moved back, with the veterans you've added on 1-year deals, with injury risk, it's all built for a high ceiling this year. So I think with that in mind, you're shooting to win this division, one of the best divisions in the league. And you got to say the health disclaimer every single time. It just has to be part of it. But if they're healthy, I don't think there's a roster better than this one. San Francisco is an argument. We'll see if Ayuk stays there. Looks like he probably will at this point. But so those 2 teams can go head to head. But outside of that, I don't think anyone can compete with the well-roundedness of this roster. So I think you should don't hold yourself back from dreaming about 12, 13 wins and winning the AFC East and maybe getting a first round bye. I don't think that's out of reach for this team, and I think they should hold themselves to that standard. You have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. It seems like he's doing that. I think when you see him, quote unquote, argue with Garrett Wilson, that's what he's doing. He's establishing that, hey, we're trying to be great here. We're not trying to make the playoffs. We're not trying to win a playoff game. We're trying to win the whole thing. That's why we're trying to be perfect in practice every day, because you're not going to get there if you're satisfied with decent or good. The standard is greatness. So I really think they're capable of 12 wins. I think that's what my prediction is right now. I think that should be enough to win the division. But yeah, hold yourself to a high standard, I would say. That's the goal for the Jets.
I love it. High standards, folks. High standards. Dark Knight Steve is a man of high standards. He's got a $20 super chat for the people. Where do Brees and Garrett factor in fantasy football leagues? Where should they be drafted? Brees, I've been starting my fantasy football prep. It's that time of the year. Brees is going anywhere from 3 to 5 in a lot of leagues. Honestly, he's a top 5 pick in fantasy football. And if you wanted to take him ahead of either McCaffrey or Bijan Robinson, I wouldn't kill you if you're a Jet fan who's that confident in Brees Hall. I mean, if you're a Jet fan, you saw what Brees dealt with last year. The reps count, playing with Dalvin Cook, who stunk. Hackett not realizing he was a good receiver till after the Giants game. The awful quarterback situation, the awful O-line situation. And here's a guy who was second in yards from scrimmage amongst players at his position. So Brees to me is a top 5 pick. And Garrett Wilson's a guy who's going in a lot of drafts, Mike. He's going at the end of the first and in the second round in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we're looking at it from a Jets perspective, but I would draft Brees Hall first in fantasy just because everything you mentioned, you look at what he did last year versus what he should have been able to do given all of those obstacles. And the difference between that is just astronomical. So you project that to how much better the situation is this year, and the ceiling is outrageous with what he could do. If he could put up 1,585 scrimmage yards last year, 9 touchdowns with everything you just mentioned, bad O-line, stacked boxes, coordinator doesn't know how to use them until midseason. He even started the year splitting touches for a few games with Dalvin Cook because he's still getting his legs back under him. I think 2,000 yards is going to be easy for him this year, to be honest. So I would draft him first in fantasy. And then Garrett, like we talked about, like, obviously take Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill over him. But beyond that, Garrett Wilson's right up there with anyone, I think.
I'm right there with you, man. It's crazy, but that's where we're at. A couple super chats here. Asman says, JD was a magician working the draft board. Look, it's early, but I think so far you feel better about this draft class than how we felt at this time last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just because this first preseason game helps a lot, definitely, because you saw it all in action. So I would say so.
Three Siblings says, Martinez, did y'all see Zach Wilson? I mean, Martinez to me, I mean, better than anything I've seen from Zach Wilson in a while. So God bless him. I hope he keeps playing well. King and Dream says, gang, King and Dreams. Thanks for watching the show. Let's get into this week, Michael. I think it's a crucial week for the Jets because last week, Aaron Rodgers, they held him out, which I had no problem with. They held him out of the joint practice because of the weather. Assuming it's not nasty down by you, because I know you live in the Charlotte area.
Yeah,
we're going to see Aaron Rodgers against a different team for the first time since his injury on Thursday this week. Your thoughts on that and just your thoughts in general on this joint practice this week?
Yeah, it'll be great to see Rodgers for the first time, assuming that it does happen. I liked the decision to hold him out last week. Just play it safe. No need to risk it. But it was encouraging how good they looked even without him and without Mike Williams. So to see Rodgers back out there in this joint practice, I think what mattered to me the most about that first one against Washington is you're facing a team that is one of the NFL's bottom feeders coming onto your field, and they dominated them on both sides. At least that's what it seemed like. I wasn't there, but based on the reports, it seems like that's what they did. And you're looking at an early season schedule that has teams like Tennessee, New England, Denver. And if you want to win 12 games, like I just said, win the AFC East, you got to clean house against the teams you're supposed to beat. It's something the Jets have struggled to do, although I guess they've never been in a position like this recently where there have been teams they are supposed to beat. But if you want to be great, you got to clean up against the easy teams. And I think it's safe to say the Panthers are not going to be a great team this year. So I think it's another opportunity to show that the Jets are on a different level than some of the lower tier teams in the league.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. As far as the game goes on Saturday, Michael, we only saw Joe Tippmann play amongst the starters in the first preseason game. What would you expect for this game coming up next Saturday, or now this Saturday, August 17th against Carolina?
Yeah, I think I think in terms of Tippmann, it was good to see him play a few snaps, but I would definitely play him a little bit more, see if he could continue working out of the snap issues. But I don't know. I would probably hold the starters until the last game personally. I just don't think with the team that has so many injury questions, I just play it safe, hold it until do a drive or two against the Giants. I know a lot of other teams have played their starting quarterbacks, starting offenses. Even the Commanders did last week. But I think the Jets should play it safe. I would kind of expect to see more of the same this week as we did in the first game.
What's your opinion on Rodgers potentially playing in the final preseason game?
Yeah, I would do it. I'd give him a similar approach to the Giants last year, a drive or two, just because one freak injury happened last year. I don't think it should withhold you from doing it this year, because he's going to have to play 17 games anyway. And you want to get him some game reps. So I would do it. I mean, I'm not saying that with a lot of conviction because I'm not 100% sold on it. I totally understand if you want to sit him, and I'm torn on it, but I think it would be worthwhile to give him a drive or two. But it's tough. I definitely go back and forth on it.
Yep. I mean, look, to me, I think it comes down to what Aaron wants, right? I know Saleh says it's a collaborative decision, but if Aaron Rodgers goes to Saleh and says, look, I feel like I need this to get ready mentally to get over the hurdle of my first game back. Let me get on the field again at MetLife. Let me get through it. And then I go into Monday Night Football feeling more comfortable. If he says that, then you got to let him play, man. You can't live your life afraid of an injury.
Yeah.
He didn't get hurt last year in this game, and then 4 plays in a regular season game, he got hurt. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. If Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow could play in the preseason, so could Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, for sure. And especially coming off an injury like this, it's different. Obviously, he's been throwing, he's been practicing in scrimmages and whatnot, but he hasn't been hit since that injury. So I think it's good to get out there and kind of acclimate yourself to playing in this post-injury form in a real environment. That's not saying we want to go out there and have him take a 7-step drop and get smacked around the whole time he's playing, but it's nice to get those real game reps in your first time playing after a major injury like that before you take the field in a real game.
All right, final question, Mike. Give us a bold prediction for the Jets' final 53-man roster.
I'm going to say Leonard Taylor is going to make it there. That's my bold prediction. I feel like they could use some defensive tackle depth after that, next 3 after Quinn and Williams. It's not the strongest in the world. Leonard Taylor is a guy they seem to like as the UDFA, had a great preseason opener. I think he's a good fit for the scheme. So if he keeps it going, I wouldn't rule that one out. So I'll go with Leonard Taylor as my bold roster pick.
I love it. He's Michael Nania. My name is Jake Asman. Mike, appreciate you hopping on the show. Great to catch up. And I know you're going to be at the joint practice later this week. So we're going to be relying on your Twitter feed and jetxfactor.com for all the updates on what's going down.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to being there. I'll try my best to be a great source of tweets. But yeah, keep up with us at JetX. Check out the Cool Your Jets podcast. We're back, being more routine. And thanks again for having me, Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Michael Nania, everybody. Tremendous job by him. I'm going to stay on a little while longer here. I'm going to end the show at 11 Eastern because I got more things to do today, folks. 3 hours of radio. Found out 10 minutes before the show I'm doing our midday show. So short show this morning. We'll be back in the late afternoon once I get my bearings settled in. Lot still to do. Comments, questions, super chats. Always cut the line. NY Cursor wrote, when are we getting a G5 emoji? We added the G5 emoji. NY, check it out. It is available. The next emoji we're going to add if we get 27 more members is the Scorched Earth Tour Aaron Rodgers emoji. The emoji is just Aaron holding the football. The other stuff is just there so you guys can see it better. So that's the emoji. Need more channel members, but we're a little bit closer now because Nate, parentheses Nate, has stepped up to the plate, Jet fans. Listener KJH is the recipient of the membership, courtesy of Nate, parentheses Nate, who for whatever reason spent 4 hours of his time yesterday arguing with Gary about the Mikal Bridges trade. Why anyone would want to spend their free time arguing with Gary, I don't know. But God bless Nate because he did it. God bless him. Gerald writes in, I think 12-5 plus at least an AFC East title and at least a win in the playoffs. Anything less than that, and I'm disappointed. That's just me. That's fair. That's fair. You didn't bring in Aaron Rodgers to be a wild card team and lose. You want a deep playoff run. And I get it. This team has not made the playoffs since 2010. Since Rex. Since Sanchez. I get that. But this team is capable of doing more than just making the playoffs. You know, the Browns made the playoffs last year. Then they got boat raced. That's not a great year for the Jets. You know? The Jets aren't the Texans who were like, hey, house money no matter what happens once they made the playoffs. You get in, you never know when you're going to get back, as we've seen. So I think they got the team to go on a run. I really believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Chimney's burner in the house. Oh, baby. A membership has been gifted to David Velaz. David, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are the man. Thank you for gifting a channel membership. Gerald says, if I get a chance, I'll try and call in on your radio show. Let me say this to all the Asmaniacs. If you call the show at 800-919-3776, if I recognize the name on hold, I'm skipping your place in line and moving you to the front. So I'm going to favor the Asmaniacs who called today. Because as you can imagine, it's not like I had a whole lot of time to prep for a show I found that I was doing about 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to rely on the calls. I got takes, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you're an Asmaniac who calls into Barton Hahn today as I fill in, you're getting on the air. Let's see. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. There's 377 of you, and there's only 156 likes. So the math's not mathing. I got to probably make a t-shirt for that in the merch store. The math is not mathing. Because it's not. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, lots still to do. We come back, rapid fire through some of your calls. But first, let's pause to talk about Circa's epic football betting contests.
We don't need gimmicks like giant checks and mascots to promote this year's football contest because we're giving away even more money than we did last year.
$16 million in guaranteed prizes to be exact. There's 2 ways to win and no rake.
Players in Circa Millions make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circa Survivor entries select one team each week with no point spread. Last the longest to win it all. Visit circasports.com for details.
Yeah, baby. I'm headed out to Circa next week. Can't believe it. I'll be there August 21st through the 24th for Circa's Contest Weekend Radio Row. It's going to be a blast. We'll have some big name guests that are going to join us over the next couple of weeks, including a few at Circa that this audience knows very, very well. $10 million in guaranteed prizes for the Circa Survivor, $6 million in the Circa Million 6, their pro football contest. It's $1,000 to enter each contest. But don't worry, I got an entry for the Asmaniacs in the Circa Survivor contest. So we're going to be all set. But if you want your own entry, circasports.com. If you're a football fan, these are the best contests, period. Point blank. Circa is the king of sports betting. No other way around it. Best indoor and outdoor sports book in the world. Circa Sports. Go to circasports.com for all the information. 1 second here. I got to finish answering my producer. All right. Let's continue now. Gusbuster Hotline is open. Evan is first up today on our show. So let's say good morning to Evan. What's up, Evan?
Morning, Jake. Good to hear from you, bud. I have a thought here. So I feel like this offseason we spent a ton of time talking about the backup safety position, which I feel like I don't know if there's a fan base in America that talks more about backup safety than the Jet fan. But looking at, and again, overreacting to one preseason game, but Jalen Key, I thought looked really solid out there. Like he looked comfortable. He looked like he belonged. And I know coming from Alabama, you're going to be sort of ahead of schedule when it comes to looking like a pro. But I don't know. When I look at the safety room, I think it's sort of loaded with talent, and especially for a non-premium position. I think we've done a good job of putting guys in there that we could at least feel comfortable with supporting and backing up our corners. So I'd love to get your thoughts on sort of what your thoughts are on the safety room in general at this point.
I actually think you're right. I think it's an underrated room. And I've said this. I think Tony Adams is improving. Every practice I've been at, Tony Adams has made 1 or 2 plays where I go, it's a nice play right there. I also think when you look at Chuck Clark, people just assume he's bad because we've never seen him play. He was a good player with the Ravens. You don't think the Jets could figure out a way to use Chuck Clark, who could play everywhere on the field? Like, I think it's a good move. Ashton Davis, to me, has gotten better every year that this coaching staff has been here. And you're right, maybe Jalen Key could turn into something, but we'll see what he is. Look, when you have the corners the Jets do, safety is just not going to take a huge priority. When you have the corners and the pass rush the Jets do, you could get by with league average safeties, which I think is fair to say what the Jets have right now, but maybe it's better than average when it's all said and done. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, when you consider that we haven't really poured any crazy premium assets into the safety room, this isn't Mike McCagnon putting our first and second round picks into the safety room. I think we get like great return for it. So I agree, calling it average, considering we're grabbing guys in the late rounds and developing them over time, I think would be amazing for the safety room. But yeah, thanks a lot, Jake.
I got to say, those walls are tremendous behind you, Evan.
Yeah, you like this? I'm at my childhood house. I'm in my sister's bedroom that she grew up in, so I got some purple walls around me. You like all this? Yeah, this is.
I love it. You're a Long Island guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Are you coming to the event on Saturday?
I wish. I'll be in Cape Cod then. I'm basically in a different place like every week.
I know.
My life's nuts right now, but I wish, man. T Square. I've been there before. I know John Boy and Jake do events out there too.
I was just there last week for their Aaron Boone event. Yep.
Oh, you were there. Nice. Yeah, man. It's a great. So it's a great space. I definitely suggest anyone that's in the area check it out. But yeah, man, it's a shame I won't be there, but hopefully I'll be at something soon. You guys doing? I'm sure during the season you have a few things planned, right?
Oh yeah, get ready.
Yeah, I got some plans. I think I'll head out to Pittsburgh to see that game. So I'm excited for that. And my dad, actually, funny enough, my dad's company got picked to build the Bills' new stadium. So he's working out in Buffalo. He's one of the main foremen there building that stadium. So
wow,
I think I'm going to visit him when the Jets are in town around New Year's. So that should be a fun time too.
I'll tell you what, you got to stash a jersey underneath the concourse of the stadium. You got to sneak a Navy jersey in there.
I already told him that, it's funny, man. He's worked on 2 stadiums in New York, and we're Yankees and Jets fans, and he's worked on the Bills and Citi Field. Those are the 2 that he's built. So I'm like, it's a shame that it can't be the Yankees and the Jets, but he said, hey, hopefully one day they move back to Queens, and he's like, I'll retire on that job, building that stadium. So I think we're all rooting for that.
I love it. Evan, great call, man. Great to hear from you.
Yep. Same here.
Evan, check it in. We love the walls behind him. Hit the like button. Great call by Evan. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Appreciate everyone tuning in. If you tuned in late, short show. We're going to end in less than 15 minutes. Then I'm going to hustle over to the ESPN New York studios on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I'll be on from 12 to 3 today. Brett Boone is among my guests confirmed so far, Aaron's brother, who I've known for a long time. Talk about the state of the Yankees with Brett, follows the team closely, and also does TV work for the Seattle Mariners. So he watched that debacle of a weekend if you're a Met fan. So we'll get his thoughts on that as well. All right, continuing with your calls right now. A lot of people want in, so we will try and get to as many as we possibly can. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy does not need any introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. I mean, come on.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course. Hi, Jake.
Hi, Bob.
I had a thing today. I had an early appointment at my wound clinic. They got me in today. Sad news, though. I'm not going to be able to go to opening day.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. But look, your health is more important than a football game. There'll be other opportunities.
Yeah, especially October. We could be there up for October. That's what we're going down October.
Halloween. Yeah, I have your tickets for the Texans game already. You and your brother.
Yeah, so Nick's going to sell my other tickets for me.
That's okay.
If anybody wants to buy them. Yeah, I just got to say it. I'm not a very happy camper right now. So.
Well, don't worry, Bobby. I know you wanted to go to that game, but there'll be other games.
My brother understands.
Yeah.
If I took my medicine, I won't be in this crap and shit anyway.
Lesson learned. You can take your medicine now.
Yes, I am. I just took it this morning before I went to see my wound clinic. So that's good. They said I won't be ready to drive down with my foot that time. So I hope B-Mac could get down there. I'm worried that he can't get down there.
Hopefully he can figure it out.
He drives. He said he drives, so hopefully he could drive down.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So that I wanted to come in happy, but I wasn't happy.
Well, don't worry, Bobby. This show will bring you happiness. Everyone is just glad you're out of the hospital. That's more important than getting the game anyway.
I'm pretty happy I'm in the hospital.
Yeah. And you did a show yesterday. That was a lot of fun. I joined for a little bit. So
yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll call in later today.
All right. Call into ESPN New York. All right. I'll put you on.
Yes. And you got to be there at the studio, you said?
Yep. 12 to 3.
Okay. I'll be there.
All right. We'll talk to you then.
Bye now.
Bye, Bobby.
Well, you know I need to walk more to survive unless Jake is going live. Gotta elevate my leg on Bobby.
Today's the last day the Bobby sponge bath emoji is being utilized. So hit that to cheer Bob up, because we know he loved his time in the hospital when those attractive nurses, according to him, were giving him a sponge bath. All right. So cheer Bobby up and hit that emoji. All right. And please consider becoming an Asmaniac so we can add this emoji. AR, Scorched Earth. Let's go. More calls before we wrap. King and Dreams is on the line. What's up, K&D?
What's going on? What's going on, man? My G Jake. What's going on, everybody in the chat, man? How we doing? How we doing? How we feeling, man?
Living the dream.
Man, no doubt, man. We gotta remain excited, man. I like your guess saying that the optimism for 12 or 13 wins is not asinine. It's actually legit. And we need to really continue to keep that same energy, man. No pessimistics. Sorry, Alan, got to call you out. I know you're a pessimistic guy. You're cool, but you are very pessimistic, my man. But on a serious note, if we continue to keep this positive energy, what I've been seeing, everything looks good. I have not kept up with the Hassan Reddick, so I don't know if he did get signed or not, but I think that if he didn't get signed, it's going to happen regardless. So I think that we're good. Keep the energy up. I'm headed out to Colombia tomorrow, but when I get back, man, I'm going to hit you up, man. Just wanted to hail you up and say what's up. Salute, my G.
King, safe travels, man. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, King and Dreams checking in. International man of mystery. Hit the like button. Rover writes in, how does the Reddick holdout affect the cap? Could we use his projected salary and acquire a good player in a trade? He doesn't count against the cap until he's taken off the non-football injury list. But the second he is, which eventually he will be, his $14.5 million goes right into the cap. Whatever his cap is projected to be for this year. I don't have it in front of me. So it doesn't technically count now, but it will. That's just how it goes. So it's not like you're going to be able to turn that money into something you're not. Plus, who are you signing at this stage is going to make a true difference. Even if you hypothetically traded Reddick, which is not going to happen. Because no team wants him. That's why you got him for so little. You got him for a 3rd round pick in 2026. Jesus Jerry says, Jake, if you were 62 like Tom Cruise, would you also descend from the stadium roof and jump from a plane? Ha! If I could do it, I would try it. But I'm not Tom Cruise. All right. People say we look alike, but, I'm not Tom Cruise. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. 186 likes, 360 people watching. What, you people don't know how to hit the thumbs up button? Nate says, Reddick making me so mad. I get the frustration. It's still August 12th. And, he hasn't missed a regular season game yet. Curly has 4 tickets to practice tomorrow if anyone wants them. More calls right now. Dirty's on the line. What's up, Dirty?
Hey, first of all, I got your got the packages, got some Jake Asman gear, and I am very, very happy. Everything fits, everything's on point. And may I say that I look just that much more dapper than I did. So thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the least I could do. You sent me a bunch from your brand, Iconical, everyone. So check out Iconical if you want Dirty's connection.
Yeah, man. I wanted you to look good and feel good. That's the whole point of it. So I'm actually, when I saw the way we were running the ball, we ran the ball with a lot of power the other day. Now I understand it's preseason, that's fine, but we ran the ball with a lot of power, and I liked it. We were bulldozing people, we were moving people out of the way to make sure we got where the hell we needed to go. And I was actually very encouraged to see some of the second, third stringers laying out for the ball. Some of these wide, Braden Smith, you know what I mean? Like, that was a great catch. And that's the type of stuff we need. We need these people to understand that you might not be here at the end of camp, so make it worth every single second.
Completely agree. It was encouraging to see how they ran the ball, who specifically was a reason why, like Braylon and Isaiah were great, but on a couple of Braylon's blocks, watching the film back, Dirty, some awesome blocks by Olu and company. I mean, there was a lot to be excited about for a preseason game. And also, you know, for preseason, it was an entertaining game. It was back and forth. The quarterback play wasn't putrid. Like, you know, if you're going to sit there for 3 hours and watch a preseason game, you know, that's about as good as it's going to get in the preseason.
And I think if we're going to hold, I don't know if they're going to do 4 quarterbacks or, you know, with Jordan Travis, but I think they're going to hold Martinez, if anything. Make it kind of like the, you know,
he's probably on the practice squad. I don't think they're going to carry 3 quarterbacks. They'll put Travis on IR and stash him, and I think one of those guys will be on the practice squad.
Yeah. If anything, I don't think it'll be Paisley though. But I think it would be Martinez. He has a little bit more speed.
Yeah, good call, Dirty. He also was the MVP of the UFL league, so you know he's played recently against competition that's not NFL competition, but you know we've seen some quarterbacks from that league get signed and stay in the NFL. You know, I was in Houston when PJ Walker played well with the Houston Roughnecks, and then he signed a deal to be a backup with the Panthers, and he's kind of bounced around. AJ McCarron played in that league last year. Ladies and gentlemen, Dre, step it up with some memberships. Appreciate it. These memberships are coming in at the buzzer here because I'm running out of time. I got things to do today, like host a 3-hour radio show.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Dre. Your channel membership went to, let's see, it went to Nate, parentheses Nate. How about that? That's a good one right there. We're not done, though, folks, because Addison is gifting a channel membership.
Oh, nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of Addison's membership is ISU. But wait, Nate is paying it forward. Are you kidding me? Nate, parentheses Nate, gifts a membership.
Oh, nice.
And that went to, let's see, load YouTube load. Sylv is a member. Congratulations. Congratulations. Tony DeFlippo with an Asmaniac super chat. Jake, who would you draft in fantasy if you had the opportunity? Brees or Garrett? Allen and a late round sleeper. My answer to this question is yes. I'll take any of them. I would love all of them. I have the 3rd pick in my fantasy league with my college friends. I think I'm taking Brees. I'm assuming McCaffrey goes 1. I don't know who goes 2. Maybe it's Bijan Robinson. Brees is the best running back in football by the end of this year. And if he's not, at least I took a player I love in root for. That's how I look at it. So I'm taking Brees. I get the 3rd pick in one of my leagues. I'm in 3 leagues this year, but in one of them I already know my draft positioning. Brees is my pick at 3, to give you an idea. Maybe I could get Garrett on the way back. Probably not. I'll be gone. Snake draft. Rich says, hit the like button. It's free. And it helps Jake. He's right. First Day Jet says, Conklin late sleeper. Agreed. I've had Conklin in fantasy the last couple of years, and it's a shame because he's been good, but he doesn't score touchdowns because the Jets never score touchdowns. He's top 10 in yards and receptions the last 2 years, but they never score touchdowns. Brutal. All right, one last call, rapid fire, and then to the radio we go.
The only thing better than all them shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
Jake, my brother!
Hello, Bones.
Guess who just visited me?
Who?
He had to run because he was double parked outside, but Blitz VK came into the house.
Wow.
The infamous Blitz. He came in. He was rhyming as he walked in, spitting for now. But he's the man. What a cool cat. I'm putting pressure on him to come Saturday. He's got to work at 11. So I'm trying to get him to skip some sleep, come chill with us, and go right to work from the game. So
love it. I mean, look, it's gonna be a blast. I can't wait.
no, this is going to be epic. Anybody who's trying to come chill at the Alden pregame, I'm setting the time at 5:30. I'm going to close up. We could all just come hang out. I ain't gonna have anything special besides me and Joe Bonesy chilling and a couple appearances from Jake, but we could all go as a unit. What? Yeah. So my Jet take, I know you got to get on the radio, man. I'm just excited. All this talk about all these young guys, it's so amazing. We're just in heaven right now. This is our moments right now to just enjoy what Joe Douglas has brought to the team. He brings young players with talent that could be developed, and they compete. That pregame season was a perfect sign. We had a top 5 defense last year, top 5 special teams unit. Are we going to have that top 5 offensive unit this year? I mean, it could be possible with Rodgers. In the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. And man, I'm so excited. Tuesday's One Jets Drive. I can't wait for that either. That's going to be real fun this year. Getting to know these young cats, these young bloods we got. I love them, man.
Tomorrow night. Can't wait.
Let's go. JETS. Jake.
Bonesy, appreciate the call, man. What a way to end it. Stephen Craig gifted a membership. ISU, they're each gifting channel memberships. Oh, baby. Here we go. Let's get the names of the 2 members, and then we will say, see ya. My Young Ring, received the membership from Steven. The other recipient of a channel membership from ISU is Alan Hernandez. Also, Sonny Crockett received one from Addison. I don't know if that was a second one. It was. So Addison is now gifted 2. Thank you, Addison. I want to make sure we acknowledge that as well. Question from Alan, who just got a membership. Hey, I'm going to practice tomorrow. What time should I get there if I want autographs? They don't sign before the practice, Alan. So as long as you're there after practice ends, you have a shot at getting autographs. And if you contact Nick Shine and you pay him, he'll throw 8-year-olds over the railing to make sure you get one, if you're interested. All right, that does it for me. If you want 3 more hours of me, you're in luck. Noon to 3, ESPN New York. I'll be back in the 5 o'clock hour on YouTube. But tune into the radio show. Call in 800-919-3776. If you call in and I recognize your name, you're being bumped to as close to the top as I could do it. All right? Make sure you call with whatever we're talking about, though. But if you call about the Jets, I'm leading the show with the Jets. You're in luck. All right. Thank you all for the support. My name is Jake Asman. Reminder, watch party, Saturday night, RSVP. I cannot say it anymore. Links in the description. That easy. Get your merch. JakeAsman.com. Wear your merch to the meetup on Saturday. It's going to be wild. Can't wait. Thank you all for the support. Thanks to Michael Nania for joining us. Sorry the show wasn't longer, but we still gave you an hour anyway because you guys are the best fans in all of sports. And since I'm filling in for the incomparable Bart Scott this afternoon, I end the show by playing this. Let's go Jets, baby. I can't wait to be on the radio in 1 hour.
To all the non-believers. To all the non-believers. Anybody can be beat. We're pissed off. People gave us no chance, like we barely made it in playoffs. We're a good football team. For all you non-believers, disrespect us, talk crap about the defense like we ain't the 3rd best defense in the league. All we hear is about their defense. They can't stop a nosebleed. 25th in the league, and we the one to get disrespected.
Congratulations. See you in Pittsburgh.
Can't wait.